Yo, what's going on? What do you mean I'm cutting out?
Oh, no, you're good now.
All right. Sounds good. All right, just getting my microphone setting to the right. Talk, Luke.
Yo, 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 is this good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Let me just put you down a little bit. I just need you to move to your right a little bit more, or to your left. To your left. Your
To
other.
my left?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you said right first, and then I.
One
All
more,
right,
or
we're
just a
gonna
smidge to the left. There you
like
go.
that.
Yeah. If you look on the Zoom call, you can see.
Okay.
Look at the Zoom call and my.
I can. Uh,
You.
that's what I'm doing.
All right. We got some breaking news today. How are you doing today? You like the new show setup?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's interesting. It looks. I like it. I like the little intro graphic that you had before the show started. That was pretty cool.
Thank you, thank you. I tried. Well, today we're doing something that we've never done before. Your boy is moving to Miami, and I am also an Argentine. I have family from Argentina. My mother's from Argentina. My dad was raised in Argentina. My older sister's actually living in Argentina right now and was born in Argentina. And I've gone many times. And today is a big day for me and a lot of people in the MLS. Alrighty?
Yeah, it's a fucking massive day for you guys.
It's maybe one of the biggest days of my life. Lionel Messi is
Probably the
coming.
most important day in MLS history.
It probably is. Lionel Messi is coming to America. I don't know if there's any way to.
Like that's wild.
It's almost unreal, like how it feels, if that
It
makes.
is. It is. Like it. We didn't think it was going to happen until he was like an
I've been
old
saying it
man
for
and he's
months,
like
and
40.
I've been
But
saying it.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Nobody thought it was going to happen until he was an old washed up guy. But this guy had like 15 goals and 15 assists last year for PSG. So he's clearly not washed up. So this is insane. He's
It
going to dominate MLS.
dominates an understatement.
Like we never like he's still good. He's still a world class player. He's not Messi anymore because Messi had set an impossible standard for himself that people think that he sucked this year, even though he didn't. He's
Which
gonna dominate in the MLS.
which is crazy to think about that people thought he sucked this year because he wasn't like
Yeah,
at.
I never understood that because
So they
we're
be.
so spoiled.
Oh, we are so spoiled as a
We are so
society.
spoiled. Like we think that a guy who has like 30 plus combined goals and assists and led league on in goal contribution washed up because he wasn't scoring 70 goals. Like that's what we think now of Messi. When Messi has like a this is a typical like great season for most players. But it's bad for him, apparently, is what we're thinking. So the fact that this guy is coming to MLS, that's insane.
I'm just excited. I feel blessed to get that opportunity. I'm trying to buy season tickets. I want season tickets so bad. I know they're going to go quick and I'm going to get a shit seat. But the fact that if I can just be there, just to be there, you know what I mean? And like be able to watch, oh my God, it would be a dream come true to see Lionel Messi play in the
Lionel
MLS.
Messi.
You know?
I know this isn't exactly basketball related, but we needed to talk about this.
Oh, I forgot to switch the intro. I mean the swipe, but right here we got ourselves a little graphic to your right. And oh, doesn't it look so nice with Messi right there wearing a jersey that might be the last one he wears for a club.
Now, the real question is who is going to be the coach? Because you know that Messi is going to have input over who that is. That's why they fired. I feel like that's why they fired What's it's nuts what they did. Because, like, yeah, they were terrible and they were bottom of the Eastern Conference. But I feel like they fired Phil Neville when they did because they knew that he was coming. And so now he gets to have input over the next coach.
I feel like, you know, I just think, I don't know.
Busquets might be joining him as well.
Well, yeah, I heard about that Sergio Busquets one guy, and I don't know. I don't know. Isn't the team
And
bad? You said this
Busquets is
morning.
obviously old. Oh, I said they're worse than the Eastern Conference. They're at the bottom. They're terrible. They're an awful team. So like they have a lot to do. But I mean, Messi is Messi. So They may not. It may not be enough to make them win because one player can only do so much. But if there is one player that would single-handedly make Miami win the MLS Cup, it would be this guy. So
Yeah, I think it just brings up a whole interesting questions because, you know, if if Messi goes out there, what's the expectation? They win the cup?
probably, maybe not this year because he's joining in the middle of the season and they suck so bad. But I
But he's
think
so
if they get a full
good.
season, I know, but they're terrible. Like they can't physically. I don't know if they can physically make up enough ground.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So it's like,
If they sneak into the playoffs, they have a shot. But like, it's the middle of the season. It would be one thing if it was like 4 games in and Messi joined and they had time to like build a team. The problem is now they already have a team and the team in place sucks ass and they're just adding Messi. So they may not win it this year because they may not have enough time. But once they get a full off season, once they have time to actually develop and plan a team and get the guys that they want to play with Messi, they might do something. And also, this isn't like as much as we want to say this is about winning. It's this move is not about winning. So even if they don't win MLS Cup during Messi's tenure, it's still a success because they got Messi. So even if they don't win during Messi's tenure, the money that they'll make from just having him is going to help the club out drastically. And it's not like this club doesn't have money. Do I have what? No, no. My Zoom is just bugging right now. Like your audio's been kind of choppy too.
okay, I just wanted to make sure that wasn't just me. Okay, so with that being said, I think we kind of just filled up our soccer block right here. What to expect, what to see with Lionel Messi. I mean, this is a great day in MLS history, a great day if you're a soccer fan or a Messi fan. But we just can't sit here and talk all day about Lionel Messi going to the MLS when this is an NBA show. So, you know, let's get.
Yeah, we just had to talk about it. We couldn't help ourselves. It's messy.
I know, I know.
It's like the greatest athlete of all time right here. Like we had to do it. Imagine if he wins the Ballon d'Or now, because he could realistically have a chance of winning it. So at the end of the season, here's a
Wait,
chance
you
to.
can he can win Ball d'Or.
Yes, yeah, because so they changed the Ballon d'Or now. It's no longer based on the year; it's based on like the European season. So Messi, there's a chance because like he had a good year for PSG. He won the World Cup. I don't know if he's gonna win it, but if he does,
Would he be
he would be
accepting it with
winning the
a?
Ballon d'Or.
Would he be accepting it in a Miami jersey?
I don't know, man. See, that's the thing. He'd be an Inter Miami player when he would be winning the Ballon d'Or. So, like, obviously, you don't wear jerseys when you fucking go up there. He's wearing a suit, but like, he would
Just
be. I
on
think
buns it.
by the time the ceremony rolls around, he might be like officially a Miami player, which that would be fucking interesting. An MLS player wins the Ballon d'Or.
The MLS would milk the shit out of that.
Oh my god, they would promote the shit out of that like they actually did something. That's what they would do. Oh. All
Alrighty
right,
though.
enough soccer, basketball time.
Yeah, no, it is definitely basketball time. So let's go over to something that we worked on yesterday, and that was alrighty something called what we like to call a mock draft. All right, so we're gonna go
Some are
over
saying
here.
it's the most accurate mock draft ever produced. Some are saying
Some
that.
some were saying that. Yeah, some will
Some were
say
saying that, yes.
some were. But if you wanted to give the people an idea, like what I think we did, I think we used the before we get into this mock draft, we just want to let you guys know the way we did this mock draft. We used who they worked.
People have been
All right, we're
saying
back
that
in.
Brandon
We're
Miller
back
is
in,
getting
ladies and
drafted at
gentlemen.
number 2.
We should be back in.
Oh,
We're
okay. All right.
we should be back
Well,
in.
well,
Okay.
I'm still not seeing any pictures. I'm just seeing the little screen. But anyway, Brandon Miller, even though there's been reports that he's going to be number
All right,
two,
we're live. We're live.
we did not put him there.
We are back in at being live right now. It says, but it's frozen. Yeah, we're back. We're back. We made it back in. Didn't skip a beat, ladies and gentlemen. So thank the Lord for that one. And
Okay.
what ended up happening was I tried
Yeah, see,
load.
the screen still is frozen for me. I can hear you, but I can't see shit.
Oh, dude, you gotta. Oh, bro, my apology. I forgot to do something for you. This is
Screen
my.
share.
There you go. We're back
Fucking
into the broad.
OBS.
We're back, guys. We're back. We're struggling right here as I'm trying to queue up our mock draft, and every time I
Is
try to open,
OBS the move? Actually, is this the move? Because it's crashing a
I
lot.
know. Thank you, bud. Thank you.
This great first experience with this, man. You know,
It was working fine the other day, but what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to do an image version of this,
that's
and
fine.
just to work around this, and then I'm gonna have to figure this out post show. But because what I'm trying to do right now, I was trying to import a video, and every time I would go into the setting to
Oh, are you
import the
trying to get like the rolling shot that we
yeah
have,
the that I
like with the
created,
scrolls?
yeah, and every time
Yeah,
I press the file to import it into OBS, frames drop, it
it just
crashes.
crashes.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna import instead the image version of it, and then I'm just gonna manually move it. I made
Yeah,
that little minute video that I was gonna have looping where it was gonna be scrolling for us, which would have been
it was
even
so cool too. It was gonna be perfect.
yeah,
Ah,
but
all right.
we're
Well,
at
I guess we'll just have to save that for the video that we record later about it. But
yeah no, it's just technical difficulties. I'm just gonna have to work around this. 1 second. Um, sharing something to me from my laptop. Alrighty. The way this works will be Mark. Alrighty.
technical difficulties. You'll
You
love to
got,
see it.
yeah, I was about to say that too. I was like, you gotta love. Which one's this one? Alrighty. I also have no idea where this got put. Okay, here we go. So, our mock draft right here, as we set it up, can you just preview it for the public, Luke?
Can I read it? I can't see anything.
No, preview it. Like,
Oh, preview it. Oh, okay. So basically, we obviously Vic's number one, no question. Number two, even though Brandon Miller has been gaining traction at number two, we still went with Scoot. It makes too much sense for Scoot to go two, and ultimately, I think he's a better prospect. I think most GMs around the league think he's a better prospect than Brandon Miller, and the question about fit next to LaMelo doesn't really seem like it's as big of a deal as it would be with other guards. So we have Scoot going at two to the Hornets still. And then at three, we have Brandon Miller going to the Blazers. So those are the top three picks. After the top three, it's a fucking crapshoot. Like we had what, a man going fourth, and then we had at fifth, we had who do we have going fifth?
we had fifth going,
It was Pistons,
Jarris.
right? We had Jarris Walker going fifth. We had Jarris Walker going fifth to the Pistons. So those are the top five picks so far. We had the Rockets still take a man to either play him next to James Harden if James Harden signs, or him and Jalen Green will be in the backcourt. Like we said in a few other shows and a few other videos before, teams around the league, and specifically the source that we had told us about his former coach saying this at OTE, they have doubts about his ability to stay at point guard. He will not be a point guard in the NBA. He will be like a point wing, probably. Maybe
Yeah.
he'll sometimes handle the ball, kind of like an Evan Turner type role when Evan Turner was in the league. He'll somewhat handle the ball.
Well, people
But
also don't realize Evan Turner became what he was when he was in
Evan
the
Turner
league.
did not start. Evan Turner did not start that way into the league, but like that's beside the point. The point is he will be a emergency backup ball handler and he'll be primarily playing on the wing. He won't be the primary point guard.
Yeah, no,
Maybe he develops an ability. Maybe he develops that later. But
As
I
of right
doubt.
now.
I doubt he
Yeah.
sticks it, which is
I
fine. That's not a bad thing, but he just doesn't really project as point guard.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And boo, yeah. All right, so we're gonna start at because we already talked about our top five. We're gonna move to 5 through 8 right now, and that being boom. Okay, you're
Rattle it off. On they'll just rattle it off, just us. That way, I can at least see the screen,
yeah.
even if it's not the mock draft.
So we had so many frames drop, a little choppy but improving, guys. This is a test week with the new stream. I'm still work in progress trying to figure out what glitches we have and why. But again, it's a work in progress. Thank you for everyone who's, sticking around and everything. I mean, we are, 25 minutes deep into this thing, so it's not like the end of the world. We've been able to do decent time with it, but let's get right into the rest of this mock that has been interrupted so many times. Josh Allen has been announced as the Madden 24 cover athlete, which is surprising. We'll talk about that probably near the end of the show, but let's run through the rest of this first round. Jarris Walker to the Pistons. We had 6, I believe it was. The Orlando Magic take Cam Whitmore.
Yeah.
Then 7, we have ourselves Asar Thompson because they need those wings. Even though some people are saying it's going to be Anthony Black, I think Anthony Black's a lock to the Wizards. Jazz take Taylor Hendricks for front court help.
Surprising. Can I say one thing? It was very surprising when we looked at the workout list and we did not see Anthony Black worked out for the Wizards, especially considering when I was interviewing him at the Combine, it was only Wizards reporters talking to him about playing in Washington and other things. So that was very interesting to know that they didn't actually work him out, even though what I thought seemed like a lock for him to go to
Correct me if I'm
Washington.
wrong.
I still think
Orlando
go there.
Magic never worked out Paulo Banchero.
No, they did not.
They never worked out Paulo Banchero.
They did not work out
they
Paulo
attended
Banchero.
they attended his workouts and like his pro days and whatever, but they never brought him in for a workout.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that because I remember that being
So
a storyline because you remember on draft day he flew up to be the number 1 projected odds on draft night.
last minute, it was an hour before the draft started.
And then everyone was tweeting, they're like, "Why is he the number 1 rank favored guy now?"
Yeah.
Even though they never worked him out.
Because they worked out Chet and they worked out Jabari Smith, but they didn't work him out. So that
and then they came out and said that they had been watching him since December and they had seen enough that they believed that they didn't even need to watch him work out because they knew who he was.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, a one-on-one draft workout doesn't really tell the whole story because basketball is in the game of one-on-one. So workouts are great, but you really don't get much information from them. I saw a clip yesterday talking about Gilbert Arenas, how he was talking about how workouts don't mean shit because Jokic would struggle in a workout as a rookie because Jokic's strengths aren't played to in a one-on-one style workout. And for example, Kevin Knox had some amazing draft day workouts, and that's why.
Is that actually true?
He didn't say anything about Kevin Knox, but the Kevin Knox thing was true. And I saw Gilbert Arenas just talking about how workouts don't mean shit, and he was talking about Jokic and how Jokic's strengths wouldn't be shown in a workout. So
I mean, on the last day of the combine when I was there, it was all the pro days, and literally this is when I talked to the scouts, and basically the pro days, for the most part, it's a controlled. It doesn't matter. From what I understood, the scout I was talking to was a European service scout, and it was kind of. It was kind of for guys like him because he's like, these guys aren't fucking getting drafted. He's like this guy was named Nick Ragavopoulos. And he's like, this guy, he's in the draft, but he's like, dude, this guy, he's like,
it's he's not getting drafted.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm watching this guy because he's like, this is the only time I'm gonna get a chance to watch him work out. And I'm gonna see if he would want to be interested playing D2 for one of the teams that we provide scouting services for, So there's And he was telling me but most part the pro days, dude, there probably was less than 30 people watching each pro day.
Yeah, because it's not that big of a deal, all things considered. So
let's move on.
It was surprising they didn't work him out, but
let's move on right here. We got Bilal Coulibaly going 10, and we fought over this one. I mean, there was a
hold
little
up,
bit.
Scroll back up. We got to talk about pick 9. We got to talk about pick 9 first.
Oh,
We
we
got to talk
just
about Taylor
Taylor
Hendricks.
Hendrick Taylor Hendrick falls there because all the other teams don't necessarily need front court help. So some team could trade up because they want to get Taylor Hendricks, but if no team trades up, I see Taylor Hendricks falling here to a team because Jarris Walker would be picked before him by any other team that would want front court help, and then it would be Taylor Hendricks. But the teams that would
Yes.
take front court help would take Jarris Walker because he would fall there. It seems like how we had it play out here. So the Jazz are the first team because they probably see Taylor Hendricks as a ceiling, probably a similar player to what Jonathan Isaac was, maybe a little not as long. And then floor, he's Chris Boucher that year when Chris Boucher was a six man of the year candidate.
Yeah, and they would probably rather take him to come in and probably help them team right away. I mean, Koulibaly could also go here too,
Yeah,
but
Koulibaly is a guy who's flown up the draft boards. He's the J Dub, the Jalen Williams from Santa Clara of this year's draft.
Taylor Hendricks just makes too much sense here.
Because his floor, when I say Chris Boucher, is he ends up not being quick enough to be that perimeter defender that we think to be like that similar Jonathan Isaac defender. Then he becomes a Chris Boucher guy who can guard 4 and 5, be this 3 and D big ceiling. He's athletic enough and mobile and laterally quick enough, guard 1 through 5, Jonathan Isaac when he was healthy.
Yeah.
Now let's
and
move.
It's a good pick.
Yeah, and it's a good pick. Now I have Bilal Koulibaly because Tim Cato of The Athletic, beat writer for the Dallas Mavericks, says they're not going to take Grady Dick because he's too reminiscent of what the Donnie Nelson ran front office would have taken. And they're trying to find more wings like Josh Green, as they believe, and a lot of people around the league believe that Josh Green is the modern archetype of the 3 and D wing. That's why they traded away Dorian Finney-Smith, and they're trying to move on from Reggie Bullock because they believe Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith are the old school type of 3 and D wings archetype that they're still serviceable, but they're more off the bench guys because they're not as athletic or versatile as a guy like Josh Green who can
and they're a little bit less comfortable with the ball in their hands than Josh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So Bilal Koulibaly follows the modern 3 and D archetype. Guy is, as much as you want to say, he's young and all that, he's technically NBA ready, just played, was the second best player on the best team in France. And
yeah.
There's a reason. Then Grady Dick falls to Orlando. Which Orlando?
Yeah, we this was one that we fought back and forth on and we're torn on because
we did rock paper scissors shoot to decide it. The way these picks
Yeah,
were decided right here was a rock paper scissors shoot 2 out of 3.
This was very hard to decide, and I was like, oh, Cyro just wants to see Grady Dick go to the Magic because it'd be good for KU and for the Magic.
No, but okay, but seriously,
that's why I said it.
Seriously,
Yeah,
though,
all things considered, it makes sense.
It makes sense. Okay, as much as you guys hate it. It makes sense. Now, Kassan Wallace, they need a backup point guard, Oklahoma City, so we have Oklahoma City.
Defense first, backup point guard. He just makes too much sense in this spot.
Exactly.
Just
Toronto
like
needs
this
shooting.
Next one.
I could see Toronto because Gary Trent's leaving and Fred VanVleet's probably leaving. That Toronto right here instead of taking Jordan Hawkins, because Kassan Wallace makes sense with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They need a backup point guard to relieve Shea and Josh Giddey and play with the other one when the other one sits, and also bring some defense. Now, moving to Raptors, I said highest potential guy right here is Nick Smith Jr. Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent are expected to leave. We took Jordan Hawkins because they need three-point shooting. That's what they desperately need. But I would not be surprised if they take Nick Smith as the highest potential guy if they end up, because they are still undecided if they're going to rebuild or not.
This is the best pick for them, though. This is the pick that just made. This is the
pick
that I.
If before this pick comes up, they trade away Pascal or OG or both of them, I would not be.
If they're tanking, then I would not.
They're taking the highest potential guy. Then
this pick, Jordan Hawkins to the Raptors, is the best fit of any player in the entire draft. This pick makes more sense than any other pick that we have talked about so far up to this point. There's just no way he's not a Raptor if he's still on the board right now.
No, I agree.
But, there's just no way. But, yeah, if the Raptors decide that they're going to rebuild, maybe they go Nick Smith because of the upside. It'll be interesting.
And I also want to say, if for some reason Jordan Hawkins is off the board, then they would take the next best shooter, which is Jet Howard, if they're not rebuilding. Okay, we have Keontae
Yes.
George going to the Pelicans because Eric Gordon was there for so many years and he was just such a perfect fit. Keontae George works there and because he's a very similar
Keontae
player
George
to
is
Eric,
not the same. He's not the same type of player because he's a worse shooter, but he's a better ball handler and off the dribble scorer, which would help the
but
Pelicans.
similar defender to what Eric Gordon was. And that's not even what I was.
Yes.
That it's not even the whole argument I was giving. Look, Kyra Lewis Jr. They're going to move on from him. He just didn't work out,
He didn't
and they
work out.
their starting backcourt is C.J. McCollum and Brandon Ingram, with their backup right now being Dyson Daniels, and they traded away Devontae Graham. So by drafting Keontae George, now you have your backup backcourt for C.J. McCollum and Brandon Ingram being
Yeah,
Dyson
and
Daniels
it's good for the rotational
and
minutes when
Keontae
those guys are
George.
hurt. When
Then
those
we
guys are hurt, because they will be, and the
yeah
Pelicans will have injuries, so it'll be important to actually have guys who can play off the bench. So having a Keontae George, Dyson Daniels backcourt, for example, if Ingram and McCollum miss time, which they probably will at some point, that's a good thing for the Pelicans, especially because this team right now, if healthy, is a playoff team. There's no reason they shouldn't be in the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, they're going to have to clean house in the front office and the coaching staff. So
no, I
they
completely
need
agree.
somebody who can help them, and that's Keontae George.
Now
We've got Hood Shafino going next at
yeah,
15.
I do believe that the Atlanta Hawks will trade this pick just because they're not working out any top 30 prospects. They're working out second round
Yep. We
guys.
talked about this. Yes, we talked about this when making this.
So,
It's
but
just
this seems like a pick that they would attach with either John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, or Clint Capella, whoever they decide to trade this offseason to trade for a player. But if they were to keep the pick, Jalen Hood Shafino can play 1 through 3. He fits what they need. He can play next to Trey. He can play next to DeJounte. He can play next to DeAndre Hunter. It just fits versatility wise and kind of fits. The only other player I could see him taking here is Nick Smith. If Quinn Snyder goes, I think Nick Smith can be my Donovan Mitchell. But I don't really see that. So then we go over here. Nick Smith goes to the Utah Jazz. Jet Howard goes to the Lakers just because he seems like a Lakers pick and they need 3-point shooting. Ray and Rupert's defense and ball handling skills are probably something Eric Spoelstra loves, and he probably looks
and
at
his
him.
his passing upside and playmaking upside is great for the Heat.
Yeah,
They
and he
love
probably
it.
looks at
So
Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley probably look at him and like, we can teach you to shoot. Noah Clowney,
you'll be our Jimmy Butler
yeah,
if everything goes right. You'll be our Jimmy Butler.
Noah Clowney will be developed by Draymond Green and Kevon Looney to be the next Kevon Looney. Brees Sensabaugh is just everywhere, everyone. This just makes sense for him to go to Houston. We've changed up the Nets picks for the first time. Derek Lively, as much as I'm not a big fan of his, he's been flying off the boards. I really still believe he's going in the 20s. I can't see him going top 20. He's gonna go in the 20s if he does go in the first round.
Yeah,
Nets pair him up with Claxton and Sharp, and then they also get
I
themselves
think this is the
Max.
best spot for him.
Yeah,
Like I
or the Kings,
early
or the
20s,
Kings, or the
early
Kings,
20s. Yeah, or the Kings, or the Kings.
and or the
Maxwell Lewis
Clippers,
is
or the
all going
Clippers
here.
at the end of the first. But we have
Maxwell Lewis was the highest rated prospect that the Nets worked out. He was
yeah,
the
and the
highest rated
reason
prospect on the big boards.
why we also have him take Maxwell Lewis a few years ago, the same exact front office took Pepperdine guy Kessler Edwards at the beginning of the second round. They have some experience with Pepperdine guys. I actually asked Maxwell Lewis a question. I was like, hey, because I think he did say his freshman year he was with Kessler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maxwell
and
Lewis. They didn't really play together.
they didn't play. They didn't play. No,
At that point.
but what I asked
But
him,
yes,
the question I asked him, I was like, having Kessler Edwards been drafted before you, did that establish like a blueprint or kind of a roadmap of what you need to work on and do to be able to get drafted? And he did say that. He's like, yeah, seeing what Kessler was good at and what Kessler did allowed me to know what I needed to do. Because I said it was like the word actual phrasing I said, having a teammate like Kessler. I know you guys only shared. I think I said you guys shared one season. He's like, yeah, my freshman year, and I was like, yes, being only sharing a season with him. Did that allow you to know that there was a blueprint or roadmap to follow to make it to the NBA from a school like Pepperdine that might not be the biggest basketball, mecca? And he's like, yeah, it gave me an idea of what I needed to work on, transition, playing
yeah.
both sides of the ball, making sure my
And
3-point shot.
another thing I'm going to add on to that is his coach actually has been Lorenzo Romar. That's a guy who's been around NBA circles for a while. Obviously, long time Washington coach. So having a coach like that as well really, I think, helps him develop what he needed to develop. And obviously, with Kessler Edwards kind of coming in, it's like, hey, Pepperdine can actually produce good talent. If the talent's there, they'll be able to translate. And what does Maxwell Lewis do? He's a phenomenal 3-point shooter and he plays great defense. So the Nets, it's good value here. He's the highest prospect they worked out. It just makes too much sense.
I
And we've
completely
got
agree.
Colby Jones. We've got Colby Jones going 23rd. This is another guy who is he's pro ready right now. He'll come in and help the Blazers and play good rotational minutes right away. He's a Swiss Army knife almost. He averaged like 14, 5, and 5 last year for Xavier.
He's
While
literally
being,
Josh Hart.
anything that
He's
he's missing.
Josh Hart mixed with Draymond Green. I've said that because the reason I keep throwing that Draymond Green comparison in there is sometimes I don't know if Colby Jones is going to be offensively. Defensively, he's more like Josh Hart. Offensively, I don't know if he's a wing version of Draymond or if he's Josh Hart. And what I mean by that is the scoring. Does he have the shot creation?
He's a better shooter than Draymond.
But I don't know if he's the scorer that Josh Hart is. Josh Hart's an underrated scorer. Underrated.
Yeah,
like I think he's just as good as a ball.
Bad.
I think he's just as good as a ball handler, passer, all that stuff. But I don't know if he has the acumen, the offensive arsenal to create his own shot like Josh Hart can when needed.
Yes, and we shall see.
That's why I say he's a Josh Hart, Draymond Green.
Yeah, when Josh Hart was at Villanova, Josh Hart was one of like 3 guys who was going to get the ball a lot. And it's
Josh Hart averaged 20 in 20 games for the Trailblazers last year.
The offense that Xavier ran, granted, lended itself a little bit less to individual guys taking over and scoring than Villanova's offense when Josh Hart was there. And Xavier had like 4 guys averaging like 13 or more points. They spread the ball around a lot. So maybe we just didn't get to see Colby Jones' scoring as much in terms of like his individual talent to score as he doesn't have it. I think that's what it is. I think we just didn't see it enough. But you never know. You might be right. But either way, it's a good pick for the Blazers at 23.
No, I agree. And it's something that interests me right here. I think it's a great pick. And they had Josh Hart last year, so that's a good. Even though we'll talk about in a second that Damian Lillard came out and said that they want to use all their assets to get players. Let's just run through the rest of this mock real quickly. Chris Murray going over here to the Sacramento Kings. They pulled the good old Phoenix Suns when they got Markieff and Marcus Morris. Kobe Buffkin goes to the Memphis Grizzlies. They had Kenny Chandler.
If Derek Lively is still on the board, he will go to the Kings at 24.
Yeah, and at 26, we had Leonard Miller going to. Was that the Pacers? And then Olivier Maximus-Prosper goes to the Hornets. Dariq Whitehead goes to, who is it at 28?
Oh, Duke. And from Duke, did you just see what happened to the Jazz, by the way? Sorry. And did you see that they announced another foot surgery today? So he should be back by camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, another surgery for his foot. And that's another foot injury that he also had at the beginning of the year. So Dariq Whitehead is a high upside pick. And I think at this late in the round, the Jazz probably be like, well, we already have Nick Smith, who's a high upside guy who had injury problems.
Mm-hmm.
Dariq Whitehead is the same kind of, he's not as high upside as Nick Smith, but he's still a high upside guy who had injury problems. And the Jazz, again, they're in no rush to win right now. They want to build assets. They want to have good players, and he would fit them.
And then Pod goes to the Pacers. Pod goes to the Pacers, and he just fits what they're trying to build there, as he's just a guy who can play multiple positions for them.
His performance at the Combine, actually, because like here's the thing, he only averaged like 4 assists last year or 3 assists last year for Santa Clara, but he was also averaging like 19 and 8 because he needed to score. Whereas like in the Combine game that we watched, he almost had a triple double, and he really showed his facilitating ability.
Last guy of the first round was James Nanji. He's kind of the Ismail Kamagate of this year's draft, who got drafted at the end of the first by the Denver Nuggets and is a draft and
high upside pick. He may not be a draft and stash though.
I know he may not be, but he plays for Barcelona. Now we got with the first pick of the first round being Imani Bates. You might be thinking why we did this. He's from Michigan. Detroit, he's actually kind of like the highest ranked guy on Detroit's workouts, players that they've worked out.
Yeah, Detroit is another team that it did not work out many guys in this range. They worked out a few guys at the top.
It just makes sense. It just makes sense. They have the first pick in the second round. It just makes sense. Okay.
It might be a reach, but
it's a second round pick. It's a second round pick.
This team has no rush to win now. This team is
Yeah.
not in a position to win next year or for the next 4 years for that matter.
So I
So
think it
they
just
just need upside.
yeah. And then we go over here, Indiana taking Jaime Jaquez. Then we have Marcus Sasser going to San Antonio because Trey Jones might leave. Then we have Charlotte taking Gregory Jackson. Just he went to South Carolina, another pick that kind of works out right there. Andre Jackson, a point forward who fits perfectly and will be the
The
Grant Williams.
highest ranked player that Boston worked out was Andre Jackson.
Yeah.
He's a
Then
point forward, Swiss Army knife player. He
Grant
only averaged
Williams.
like 7 points a game in college, but he averaged like 7, 7, and 7 almost, which that's an insane stat line for somebody who never really shot the ball.
And he'll
But
be the
he
Grant
does so
Williams
many other
replacement.
things. He's a more athletic Grant Williams. And Grant Williams showed that guys who suck at shooting threes in college can become good 3-point shooters in the NBA.
We
So
have Orlando here taking Amari Bailey because I expect Cole Anthony or one of the other guards, but more than likely Cole Anthony be gone and probably Gary Harris as well. Then we have Oklahoma City taking Adama Sanogo as a big, as a backup. Sacramento takes Julian Phillips. I would love Tristan Vukovic to go in the first, but it doesn't seem like he'll go. So at 39, we have Charlotte taking him to pair up with Mark Williams.
great value at 39.
Yeah, another great value is Taquavian Smith, who's the Bones Highland replacement for Denver.
Yeah, he probably should have came out last year, but
Yeah.
it's still a good value pick. He'll fit. He'll replace Bones and be a nice pickup for the Nuggets.
Julian Strother goes to the Hornets. They just get more shooting. DC takes Tosan because that's who they've worked out. And with Michael
Tosan has been rising up draft boards because they
And-
value the Swiss Army knife tools and the athleticism.
And you have to understand the
So,
new front office comes from the Clippers, the Hawks, and the Thunder. So you got to look. He kind of fits Travis Schlecht, Will Dawkins, and Michael Winger's players that
Yeah.
the teams have drafted. Jalen Wilson goes to, I believe that is Portland. He's another Josh Hart type guy that they can pair up with Colby Jones, as Colby Jones is probably more of a small forward, power forward, while Jalen Wilson's more of a power forward, small forward. Two guys who are win now players that Damian Lillard probably would like them to draft if they were to keep those pick. Jordan Walsh, that's who the Spurs worked out in this range. Kind of seems like a Spursy pick. Seth Lundy, love this guy. He knows his role. He's a 3-and-D guy. And we have
Seth
Marcus.
Lundy really improved his performance at the combine, and also the Spurs. Or who's this? Memphis. Memphis also worked him
Yeah.
out. He's one of the guys that they worked out in this range.
Atlanta
Another
takes
guy,
Ben
Ben
Shepherd.
Shepherd.
Then we also have LA taking Oscar Schwebe because Donovan Ham probably loves that rebounding. Clippers take Kobe Brown because that screams who they want. Cavaliers need wing depth, Keontae Johnson. Oklahoma City takes CD Sissoko because that's just a good, high upside, low risk in the second round. Bobby Clintman is another guy, goes to Brooklyn. Similar thing what we said about CD.
Project. Bobby Clipman is a project. He's a big project, but the Nets already took a few guys to help their rotation by taking Maxwell Lewis and Derek Lively in the first round.
And
so
then they take a
can
project.
have a guy become a project.
Jordan Miller, win now guy for Sacramento. For Phoenix, my apology.
Jordan Miller is a guy who, even though he's a late second
He's
round
Torrey
pick,
Craig. He
has a really good chance to actually
Torrey
play a
Craig.
good role. Yeah, he has a great chance to play a really good role.
And the Suns, guess what player they is a free agent for them? Torrey Craig. So Jordan Miller could be a cheap replacement. Isaiah Wong to Minnesota. Jalen Noel's a free agent. And Jordan McLaughlin, come on. And then you got Tracy Jackson Davis to Sacramento, who needs a backup big. 55.
They worked him out as well. The Kings
Ricky Council goes there. They worked him out. Jalen Slausson's a guy that Memphis worked out. Then you got yourself 57 is that Washington?
These are the 57 and 58 are the two forfeited picks.
Okay, so then we just straight to 59 and 60, which is Washington. And in the Milwaukee, we had Washington take Hunter Tyson because he fits the Corey Kispert.
And they also worked him out. And
they like that 3-point shooting. They need more 3-point shooting. So then we're going to go with the last pick. Milwaukee has time. Jalen Clark just fits right there. And that was our mock draft.
Jalen Clark, now granted, Jalen Clark, the last pick of the draft, he is injured. And that's why he's probably going to fall as far as he does in this draft. Jalen Clark would be a top 40 pick if he was not injured and he didn't have any questions. They're saying that he's probably going to be ready by December or January. He is the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. He shoots threes. He averaged 3 steals a game. The Bucks love that defense. The Bucks are probably going to draft him just to help out the rotation right away. and maybe some of their end of the bench guys leave and they need him to step up and play. It's just a Bucks pick. If you're
No,
picking the last pick of the draft, you have a guy who wouldn't be this far down the draft if he didn't get injured in the Pac-12 tournament. So
it
it's a
does
very
bring.
Bucksy pick.
It is a very Bucksy pick. And right now, we're gonna switch topics over here, and I want to talk about James Harden with you. And James Harden is supposedly torn between going back home to, yes, a team called Houston Rockets, or staying with a team that has become home for him, the Philadelphia 76ers, especially that he supposedly really likes the hiring of Nick Nurse. Like, he's all for it.
Yeah.
So,
Which, that was the Sixers' effort to keep him right there.
yeah, because,
Let's bring in Nick Nurse.
yeah, and it brings up this, like, whole situation where you just kind of want to think, like, is this what they were trying to do, or was it
This is
not?
what they were trying to do. This Nick Nurse move is the move that was 100% made with keeping James Harden in mind. Like, there is no way they hire Nick Nurse if they don't believe that James Harden will come back. Now, whether they believe he'll come back and whether he actually comes back, now those are two different things. But this move, in terms of trying to keep Harden, hiring Nick Nurse was the right move.
So the free agency of James Harden. Let me read you what was written right here by Shams Charania of the Athletic. I'm just going to take the expert. The free agency of James Harden has long been expected to come down between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Houston Rockets, but he is not believed to have made up his mind. Quote, this is from Shams Charania on the Ryan Russelio podcast. Quote, I really think he's torn with the
And
prospect of
Russillo,
staying.
come on now. You got to pronounce
I
that
really
right.
think
That's
he's
Ryan
torn with the
Russillo you're
prospect of
talking
staying in
about.
Philadelphia or moving on to Houston potentially and returning back to his home. That's where his roots are. His family there, of course. They've got upwards. So basically, Houston can offer 4-year, 207 million, and I believe Philadelphia. No, Houston can offer 4 years, 202 million. Philadelphia can offer 4 years, 210 million. So it's really an $8 million difference.
It's really not that much, all things considered, in terms of NBA contracts. And also, here's the thing: the Sixers offering him a max contract basically means they're locked into the same team. There really isn't much avenues they could do to improve because nobody wants to buy Harris's contract. They would basically just be relying on development from guys like Tyrese Maxey to take that next step for them to actually become a championship contender instead of a team that loses in the second every year. So, I mean, the Sixers are obviously going to do it.
So
They're going to
Sham,
offer the max to Harden, I think,
so Sham says
but I don't know if they should.
because they fired Doc Rivers, who James hated, and hired Nick Nurse as his replacement, which is an element James Harden has to figure out. This is a quote from Shams. These are conversations that he's going to have as he becomes a free agent with Nick Nurse and with Daryl Morey. What their vision is for him, what their vision is for that team, what that offer ultimately is going to be versus comparing it to whatever Houston comes with on June 30th or July 1st. Those are all very important factors. This is a guy that you would assume would sit down with both teams.
Yeah. Like, this is going to be this saga in free agency is going to go up right until the very end of the free agency period. Most guys in free agency, they agree deals in the moratorium and then it gets announced at the very beginning of free agency because, they've already been negotiating for weeks, even before they were technically allowed to go into the moratorium, because you know how these things work. Tampering happens all the time, or what the NBA calls tampering happens all the time. So, but James Harden is different. James
Uh,
Harden genuinely might not be decided by the start of free agency, and he genuinely might not pick a team until the very end of the period, because this is going to be interesting. Because, there's a lot to think about. He goes back home to Houston, where he loves, where he's been there for most of his career, or he stays in a place where he really hasn't enjoyed himself the most, but it is a new start, and there's a chance to not rebuild but retool for the 76ers.
I agree.
If I had
Now,
to make a pick, I think he stays in Philly.
I'm going to go with
If I had to
Houston.
pick,
I'm going
I'm
to
going
go.
with he stays in Philly because I think the Nick Nurse hiring pushed it over the edge, and I just don't think James Harden wants to play for a shit team. That's it. That's
Houston,
really
he's
it.
going to decline, Houston's first offer, and then Houston's going to come back and offer ownership.
if they do that, that's it. That's it. He's doing it.
He's gonna come.
If
He's
if
gonna
they
call,
say we're gonna give you a path to ownership when you retire, he's probably not gonna turn that down. Of
or
course not.
basically a David Beckham deal, the NBA version of a David Beckham deal,
Yeah,
and just be like,
but
hey,
like,
like I personally think this is how it's gonna play out. We're gonna hear reports that he's gonna stay. He met with Houston and declined their offer, and he's heading back to Philadelphia. And then we're gonna hear a report that change of mind. He's staying in Houston. They've offered him ownership equity.
yeah, it's gonna be. They're gonna do what the Clippers did, and they're gonna lock him in his house like the DeAndre Jordan shit. And they're gonna stay there with him until he signs. That's what they're
No,
gonna
it
do.
wasn't. They locked him in Dallas. I thought.
No, DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, DeAndre Jordan lives. DeAndre Jordan's from Texas. He has a house in Texas.
Okay, that's what it was. So they met him in Texas and locked him
They
in.
met him at
And
his
then what's the
place.
funny ass thing?
They rented his
They
place.
traded DeAndre Jordan to Dallas like a year later or 2 years
Yeah,
later, and he was ass.
but they kept him. They kept him because Blake, Paul Pierce, and
Chris Paul,
so it was Blake, Paul
Chris Paul,
Pierce,
and Doc
Chris
Rivers.
Paul, and Doc, and then they had whoever was the GM at the time.
I think it was Lawrence Frank.
Yeah, all of those guys I think showed up to his place.
So let's move over to the next guy. Damian Lillard wants the Blazers to use assets to build a competitive team. Quote, this is coming from Showtime Sports via Clutch Points. Well, via Showtime Sports via Showtimes, but this was something that Clutch Points wrote. But Damian Lillard wants to win. We know that. So they have the third pick, and it's been suggested that they could package that pick with current players like Joseph Nurkic and Anthony Simons to bring in win now talent. And Lillard repeatedly.
Did you see what he said about the Nets?
No, I saw what he said about that Miami
about,
is his.
He's about the Nets being an obvious destination of a team that could trade for him. Did you not see that?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
at
he
this
didn't
point,
say he was going there. He said Brooklyn is an obvious destination where he wouldn't mind being traded to after the Miami thing that he said. He said both of those things in the same interview. So
yeah, I saw the Miami thing. Interesting.
he's not going to be traded, though. He's not going to be traded. They're not going to trade him.
Well,
they're not.
What is a deal for Damian Lillard? Not like what are the deals out there? It's just Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby that are tradable. It feels like.
Unless
Zach LaVine, if Zach LaVine isn't raising your ceiling.
The Nets don't have enough. Like, you're talking about the Blazers. My bad. I don't know, man. There really isn't much guys out there that the Blazers can trade for. I don't really help them that they can actually I can actually get. Zach LaVine doesn't help this team. I don't really know if OG pushes this team over the edge.
There's no point guard.
Pascal Siakam.
I mean, not point guard. Like, there's no.
I think Pascal Siakam.
I say you package Anthony Simons, Joseph Nurkic. Maybe you have to reroute Joseph Nurkic to another team. You try to
both of your first round picks in this draft.
Yeah, and then maybe a future.
And another one from next year.
And then maybe you try to trade Nurkic and a couple other guys to another team and get assets from that team and send it there.
Because Siakam is a better player than Rudy Gobert. And Rudy Gobert.
But the thought process, you bring in Siakam, OG Anunoby, okay, with those, then you go into free agency. You have the bird right to Jeremy Grant, so you go over the cap to bring back Jeremy Grant. Now your starting lineup could be OG Anunoby at shooting guard, point guard Damian Lillard, small forward Jeremy Grant, power forward Pascal Siakam. Go out in free agency. You get yourself a center by committee. Bring in two other centers to pair up with Drew Eubanks. Drew Eubanks now your third string center.
Bitch doesn't sign an extension that they could go after him.
Who?
But Vucevic doesn't end up signing an extension.
No, that wouldn't fit with that team. They need to. Vuce kind of does. So it's a 3-point shooting. So.
Yeah. So here's what I will say. It just actually popped up in the ticker. Shaedon Sharpe might have to be touchable for them to actually make this team better. So they might have to decide. I just saw that in the ticker, and I'm like, they might have to make him a tradable player if they want to actually have a realistic chance of improving the team right now.
No. I'm in a completely disagreement with you. I'm not.
Shaedon Sharpe has high trade value.
Yeah, but fuck that. I got the third overall pick, Anthony Simons, and I got myself fucking No. Shaedon Sharpe's a superstar, all NBA player.
Potential, yes. But the thing is, if you want to get a star, you're going to have to actually give up something. And Anthony Simons is good, and so's Nurkic. But at the end of the day, if the Blazers want to build a competitive team, they may have to get out of their own way and decide that, maybe we actually are going to have to trade Shaedon Sharpe to actually make a team right now. I'm not saying that they will, but they might have to consider making him tradable. Because if you say that like this guy who's arguably the most tradable, the best asset on this team to trade is untouchable, then that really limits who you can actually get in the trade market. And you know, if the Blazers try to go trade for somebody like Siakam, the Raptors are going to be like, oh, what about Shaedon Sharpe? What about him, including him in the deal? So again, whether
I
we
just
think
don't
Shaedon
see.
Sharpe is the I'm
It's
not saying they're going to trade him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's hurting. Saying that he's untouchable limits the kind of deals they can make to actually improve the team. So maybe they bite the bullet and decide that, fuck, we got to include Sharpe in a trade package if we want to get somebody. I don't know. I don't know. Shaedon Sharpe is going to be a Blazer next year because I don't think he gets traded. But like everyone is talking about how Shaedon Sharpe is this all NBA all star guy, and while I believe it, I think he is. He might be, but he's like everybody's tradable if you really think about it to improve the team, especially a team like Portland that's fucking desperate.
no, I understand that.
Yeah, it's just it's saying like it's just they're limiting what kind of guys they can get.
So let's. I do want to talk about one other thing before we get into near the end of the show, but that is a guy who is considered attached to the hip to another player, and it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening to this player as he was brought over specifically because another player wanted him. Reports say that the Lakers are undecided in extending Anthony Davis. I personally believe you just extend him because even if LeBron leaves, you trade him next year. Okay,
And
but
he's Anthony Davis.
yeah, but the belief is that Anthony Davis is attached directly with LeBron James as they believe that they're a package deal. The Lakers don't want Anthony Davis if LeBron leaves. All right.
See, and I don't get that at all. Like they should want Anthony Davis because even if, like you said, they sign him, they can trade him because teams, regardless of his injury issues or not, teams will be chomping at the bit and falling over themselves to try to get him because it's Anthony Davis. This guy's a unicorn. This guy's been one of the best players in the league since the moment he stepped on the court. Like this is Anthony Davis we're talking about. You got to pay him even if it's a pay him to trade him, because at least you get something for him. But yeah, it might be like obviously with Clutch Sports package deal with LeBron. If LeBron decides not to come back, and the Lakers are all of a sudden looking at a team that probably will not make the playoffs. Not probably, they will not make the playoffs if LeBron is not there. Maybe they decide if LeBron leaves, it's time to rebuild again. I don't know. I think the Lakers and rebuilding just don't really go together. That's why when they were bad for so long during the end of the Kobe era, it was weird to see them be shit because they just don't rebuild.
No, no, I completely agree, and it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how this all plays out. But I mean, hey, this is a team that I have faith can be good, but
Yeah.
I think I personally I'm under the guys. You always resign guys because they're yes, people are gonna be like, well, become a bad contract. Well, bad contracts are tradable, baby.
Yeah, and you know what? If the bad contract is somebody like Anthony Davis, you'll fucking live with it because guess what? If he actually ends up playing for you, that's good. And you know what? If he plays 40 games a season for you under this new contract, I don't care what anybody says. It's not a bad contract because if you get 40 games out of Anthony Davis per season, that's still a great deal. Like, I'm sorry, it's Anthony Davis. People
No,
forget who this is.
I completely agree.
Like I
And
saw Kendrick Perkins get up there and say that the Lakers shouldn't offer him at all. No, it's Anthony Davis. It doesn't matter if he has hurt half the year. It's Anthony fucking Davis.
no, I agree with completely with what you're saying, and I think it's definitely interesting when we look at the situation as this is a team that I would say for the most part the average person would be like, okay, why wouldn't you even if LeBron was leaving, why wouldn't you re-sign Anthony
Yes.
Davis? Because it's Anthony Davis, okay? Like
Look, if you don't want to re-sign Anthony Davis, do you know what you should do right now? Trade him right now before the draft. If you don't want to re-sign Anthony Davis, trade him now.
I agree. I agree completely.
It's Anthony Davis, man. Like the AD gets disrespected so much because of injuries, which are out of his control, and it's just annoying. This is the best big man in the league, arguably, when he's healthy. I think Jokic is better, but still, this is Anthony fucking Davis, man. Oh,
You said it.
when I saw Kendrick Perkins say the Lakers shouldn't sign him at all, that was just come on, man. Like,
You know what I also realized we have not played yet today? Not played
but Pirtle.
not but we haven't talked about the game tonight.
Oh yeah, we haven't done a game preview yet.
We haven't well
So I'm still not worried. I'm still not worried about the Nuggets. Everybody on the entire fucking team was chucking up bricks all night besides Jokic. And the Nuggets know that, like, the Nuggets are a better team. Like, they know that their entire team isn't going to shit the bed every single game. And Miami, obviously, that was a big win for them because it actually showed they can hang with Denver. But I'm still not too worried about my Denver in 5 prediction. Maybe it's Denver in 6 now instead of Denver in 5 because I think Miami gets at least one of these 2 games at home. But I think Denver bounces back with the win tonight. They're a better team. They've been playing better basketball all playoffs. No disrespect to Miami, who's also been playing great ball, but Denver's been playing the best out of any team in the playoffs. They're going to get their shit together, right the ship, win game 3 on the road.
So I think Miami, they won a game without Jimmy Butler. They're back home in Miami. I think tonight Miami wins it. They're a better coach team
I mean, it
than
wasn't without Jimmy Butler, but
Denver was making mistakes that a team in the first round makes mistakes. So what Miami did was Miami would literally be listening to their communications, and when they hear him say switch, they would slip out and slip out and get an open three. When they wouldn't say switch, they'd stay home and they'd attack the basket or run, the set screens and run through it. So they're reacting to what the Nuggets were doing, or like communicating on defense and just doing the opposite. And the Nuggets had no idea what to do. And I think this is a thing where the Miami Heat have so many players that, like, at this point, I think they're purposely holding out Tyler Hero because they're like, we can't have you play, like, you're gonna stagnate this shit. And
yeah, you're gonna fuck up the system right now.
You're gonna fuck up the system, exactly. So I
Yeah.
think I think Miami takes this game. Then when we go, Denver will take game 4. I think this is a 7-game series. I can't even say who will win it. I mean, I think Denver is the better team on paper, but Jimmy Butler and the undraftables are.
Yeah, Miami has been the worst team on paper every single matchup.
But we can't even say that
playoffs.
anymore. The Miami Heat and the
I
Denver
know.
Nuggets are the
That's
2
my
best
point.
teams in the
That's
NBA.
That's my point.
This Miami
That's
Heat
why
team
I
is not
said
the
it.
same Miami Heat team from the beginning of the playoffs.
That's my point. That's why I said it. I said on paper they're an 8 seed, but when you look about it, this team missed a lot of games with injuries all year. They were the 1 seed last year, so this team is way better than an 8 seed, and it just took them a while to get it figured out. But I tell you what, though, if the Heat win the championship and Tyler Hero does not play a single minute, I think they should look at moving on from him.
Oh yeah, trade him to like the fucking
Yeah,
Houston Rockets.
yeah. Trade him to a team that's desperate.
Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and play some Pata. Alrighty, and today, why do I feel like I know who this is?
I have no idea who this is. I can't tell if that's like a short buzz or if he's like actually.
No, he's got hair. It looks like.
Yeah, it looks like he has like super short hair, but he's got hair.
All right, he's in the West. He is not a guard. Sean
I don't
Holmes.
know. Fucking
All right,
not
so
Rashawn Holmes.
he's in the
What
Northwest.
division is okay?
Northwest. He's a forward, below 6'8". He's 29.
It's 29. Oh, Torian Prince.
You like that one? I didn't know. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's
I
a
didn't
good
know
one.
you couldn't see half the screen. My apology.
Yeah, I couldn't see it all. I couldn't see at the screen. No, you're good.
Why did you
Torian
say?
Prince.
Why did you say that?
Because Because I could see enough to like try to think about a guess. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. I could see enough to try to think about a guess. I just couldn't see the number or the age or anything.
Well,
But Torian Prince,
pretty good. Pretty good. Alrighty, you got anything else to say for the people watching or listening?
oh, that's about it.
All right.
Had a good show. Get ready for the game tonight.
Sorry about the first 20 minutes. Last 40, 50 minutes were beautiful. You know, chef's kiss.
Test run, still trying to figure this shit out.
It's the first week. It's the third time we're running this, but it looks so much better in my opinion.
Oh no, the graphics and shit look better.
Yeah, and like the transition, like it just
Yeah.
I nothing against StreamYard. StreamYard just looks like I was using a service, like a paid like service that like everybody else
Yeah.
used. Like this looks like it's ours. Like
Yeah.
like this looks
It
like
looks nicer. The graphics look better. You just gotta we just gotta figure out that shit with OBS.
yeah, and it seems like the only time it happens is when I try to cue a video because like I'm like, oh, like I part of the reason why I wanted to do this was like I was gonna be able to loop videos and shit, but it doesn't happen when we're offline and I upload the video. So I might just have to pre-upload all the videos I hope to use in today's stream before going live. And then because the other videos that I already have on here, like pre-uploaded onto the OBS,
Yeah.
have no problem when I queue them. But when I queue,
It's just
try queuing up
yeah.
a new one, like uploading it to the OBS and then punching it into there, that's when it freezes. But it doesn't freeze it when I do it offline.
All right.
So I might just have a
So yeah, we'll fuck with it. Do a test run. Hopefully, it's working better tomorrow. But
yeah. Well,
yeah.
that's it, guys. If you guys did enjoy today's show, be a friend and tell a friend. We'll be back tomorrow early. And yeah, that's basically it for me. Thank you guys. Sorry for the fuckery when in terms of the stream, but that's it. Be a friend, tell a friend. If you guys did enjoy, if you didn't, just forget it ever happened. Luke,
Take it easy.
I'll
Have
probably
fun
see
watching the
you.
game tonight, y'all.
I'll
We'll see you
probably.
tomorrow for the
What are you
show.
doing for lunch?
Oh, nothing.
Do you want me to pick you up?
Yeah.
Okay, word.
Then
I'll
we
pick you
can
up.
record some videos, do some shit.
Yeah, okay. I'll probably pick you up around between 12 or 1.
That's fine.
Peace out,
All
boys.
right. Be a friend, tell a friend, take it easy, enjoy the game, and we'll see you guys tomorrow right here on the show.
Ciao.